Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Steps with Baby. This is a very exciting episode today because we have our first ever guest speaker. And I thought that seeing as we're talking about all things about being a mum and being a parent, then it would be really interesting to get the experience of someone who's been a mum for a while and is now also a grandparent. So please welcome my mum, Morag, who is our guest speaker today.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So, we've thought of a couple of questions that we wanted to ask you, but I'll just introduce you a little bit first.
Sure.
So, my mum name's Morag. She lives in Glasgow at the moment and she writes books. Morag Pringle, if you want to go and buy any, they're really good, Scottish crime thrillers. And she has two children, one of whom is, of course, me, and the other is my sister, Katie. And now she is a grandmother to James and Alba. Right, so we'll crack on then. So, the first question we have for you, what was it like the first time you found out you were going to be a grandmother?
Very exciting. I knew it was on the cards, but I was worried too, I think. I had absolutely no worries at all about my own pregnancy, but it was different with yours. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, maybe perhaps because I've been married to an obstetrician for 20 years, and I knew that not all pregnancies go according to plan. So, yes, I was slightly worried.
I guess you sometimes worry more things happening to your children than you do about things happening to
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, absolutely.
But you were overall excited, were you?
Yes, very excited. Couldn't wait.
So, how did becoming a grandmother feel different from becoming a mum?
Well, I knew I wasn't going to have the responsibility, the direct day to day responsibility, the things that can actually be really hard about being a parent, that I was going to have more of the fun stuff. I also knew that when you guys were younger, I didn't have help around. And for me, it was really important to make sure that you had the right help. Glasgow is at least 3 hours away from where you live, so it's not as if I could be on the doorstep. So I wanted your experience to be different to mine in terms of having help.
Oh, yeah, you do provide a lot of help that you can, even though you do live pretty far away. Yes, and I see the point about, you're not there having to do all the night wake ups and all the
Mm.
hundreds of nappies. You can be there for more of the sort of fun parts of
Yes,
it. What surprised you most about being a grandmother?
I think just how much fun it is. It's a total joy. Get to do all the great things. It's lovely having all the unconditional love. When you're a parent, you have to be tough sometimes, and occasionally as a grandparent, you still have to have limits, or can't let them get away with absolutely everything, but you let them away with a lot more. So it's very much more fun, I think, and most grandparents would say that it's just an absolute delight.
Has being a grandmother changed your perspective on life or family? It's kind of a difficult question, that.
It is a difficult question. I think, has it changed? Yes, I think it's really important to stay fit as a grandparent as long as you can, because especially when they're this age and they're young, it involves actually quite a lot of strength and flexibility. You have to get up and down, pick them up, carry them.
Yeah,
Um,
you're still carrying James on your shoulders,
yes,
as his granddad.
yes. So, looking after health, and obviously you want to be around to watch them grow up.
Yeah, I think keeping fit, keeping active. I've seen how much energy you guys have to burn when you're here looking after James and he wants to wrestle and be carried around. So
And apart from anything else, sometimes if he runs away, have to run after him.
yeah, he does like to do that. What do you think has changed most about parenting since you raised your own kids? That's
Well,
interesting.
I think that's an easy question. When there's two things mainly. When you guys were small, we didn't even have mobile phones; they didn't exist, and the internet was the slow, incredibly um, laborious dial-up
Yeah.
thing. I think your generation has access to so much information that we didn't have. And not all of it's helpful. And also, the other difference is all these screens and the fact that children now carry screens around with them. I see them even in pushchairs with an iPad. Now, I can see why we used to, obviously plonk children in front of television when we wanted a bit of a break. But it's more difficult when you can't actually, when it can go everywhere with you. We just didn't have that, so it wasn't an issue. So it's a challenge that we didn't have, put it that way.
Yeah, and you said about, you didn't have like probably access to information, because you couldn't just Google everything on your phone the minute you thought of it. So where did you get that information? So say you were wondering, oh, like how long should my baby be napping for, or how much formula should they be drinking at 6 months? Where did you get that information then?
Well, I didn't really get it from anywhere. I think I had a book called Dr. Spock's book. I think we all had it of my generation. There was one kind of manual. And if it wasn't in the manual, well, bad luck. And of course, it was very much somebody's opinion. So we just had to try and work it out for ourselves,
Okay, that's interesting. I
largely.
can't really imagine that.
But remember, again, I was slightly different because I didn't have anybody, I didn't have parents around or grandparents around when you were very small. So I had no one to actually ask. I couldn't say, what did you do or what do you think? So I did have to make it up my own mind.
Did many of your friends have kids at the same time as you, or did you had friends like later or earlier than other people that you were friends with? Because I know there, for me, I ask
Yeah.
mums who are in the same boat. I ask them, like, for a lot of advice or what they're doing.
I think the difference for me was that I was away, far away from even friends. So there was, when you were a baby, there was only one other baby, mother and baby close by.
That probably needs a bit of an explanation. When I was 8 weeks old, my parents traveled to rural South Africa because my dad was working in a hospital out there. So my mum was looking after me as a baby in rural South Africa,
Yes,
which is why she didn't have any.
friends.
Well, maybe that was the reason, but
And that
that's why
time
there's
you'd,
only one other baby.
yeah, and even with friends, then I would have had to write. Oh, Alba's awake.
We're joined by another guest. Alba's woken up.
No, I think she's gone back to sleep. Yes, so even if I had friends to ask, I would have had to write a letter and then wait for a reply. Unbelievably, couldn't even text them.
Yeah, it's weird how much that's changed so quickly. Okay, so are there any parenting trends today that make you think we'd never have done that in my day? Obviously, you don't like the iPads. What is there
Well,
anything
no,
else?
no, don't get me wrong. I think an iPad has its place, long journeys and things like that. Don't or everybody needs a 10-minute distraction. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
they're
fair enough. Yeah.
yeah, they're not should never use them. But the advice I would give about, and I don't know how much of a trend it is or not, but two things I'm very glad that we did when the children were small. One, we used to go for walks a lot. Quite often there was bribes, but I felt that was a really good way to actually talk and have a chat as a family. Another one was, I think, sitting around the table for at least one meal, usually dinner, and also because it was a chance to talk. I don't know if that still happens. Obviously, James is too young, but that would be a tradition I'd like to see kept in the family.
At what age range do you think it's the most important? Like, do you
I
think
think
for
even the age that he is now, actually,
yeah?
just going for a walk with him, he enjoys it. He
Hmm.
enjoys the interaction.
I meant sorry more about the sitting at the table because at 3 we try to get him to sit at the table, but he has a kind of limited attention span for that. But I mean,
But
do you think it's more important for like teenagers or for
I think it's important for any age group, and it doesn't matter. I wouldn't keep them at the table beyond when they're not comfortable.
Mhm.
But if it's just a routine that's you eat one meal a day together, if possible, I think that's a good routine to get into.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you think about, everyone makes fun of millennial parents for gentle parenting where, they have a tantrum and you give them a hug and you talk about their feelings rather than sort of telling them off. I mean, I think from my own upbringing, I feel like 90s parents were a bit more authoritarian and less sort of into like all these emotions? Do you think it makes any difference, or do you think one's better than the other, or do you think it
Well,
all comes out in the wash?
I think it all comes out in the wash. It's hard to, you can't sort of make one rule. I think giving them language, again, that's where sort of having time just to talk comes into it, so that perhaps things that they're worried about or unable to express or getting cross about, you can't really talk to a child in the middle of a tantrum. They're not going to listen, so don't even bother.
Yeah.
But maybe later on to ask what that was about, but without laboring the point. Maybe it was just a frustration. Toddlers, especially, there's an age where children are much more likely to have tantrums, and that's just when they haven't got the control of their emotions, and you can't really blame them for it. I would just let it pass and move on to the next thing, and then maybe later ask, well, what was that about? Were you worried about something? Were you upset? And give them the language to talk. Remember, most tantrums happen when they don't have the language to tell why they're frustrated or angry. But yes, in the end, there has to be certain things that they cannot do. If a child has a tantrum in the middle of the road, you couldn't just leave them to have it out. You just
No.
have to,
Yeah, drag them
clearly,
off.
you just have to pick them up and carry them kicking and screaming. But yeah, you both have had tantrums, and it's not helpful when other people come and give advice,
Yes.
stand over you and give advice.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a little from column A, a little from column B there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so where are we up to now?
Oh, no, I should add to that a little bit. Sometimes a no just has to be a no. And
Yes.
children need to know that, especially if what they want to do is dangerous. There's just no arguments about it, no discussion of feelings, nothing. You can say it's dangerous and tell them that's why they're not allowed to do it. And that's as far as you need to go there.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere, I think, it was just like a sort of Facebook parenting post, but it was saying that children, very young children, James's age, they like hearing no, even though they might have a tantrum about it, because
And
it
then,
teaches them, it keeps them safe and in control,
yes,
that you are in the control.
yes, I
Um,
think that's absolutely true. I think what you do with James by letting him do things, but warning him at the same time, so teaching him, well, you can help make the eggs, but if you try and touch this bit, it's very dangerous, so you mustn't. And I
oh,
think
you mean the
that's the way,
stove? Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
that's the way to do it, rather than just never let them do it until suddenly they're allowed to do it.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Mm.
Trying to get that balance right.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's kind of a similar question, but what advice would you give parents today, that you've learned sort of from your own experience, or you wish someone had told you back when you had kids at the start?
Well, I was told that be aware that children will grow up really, really fast. But as a parent, some days felt very, very, very long indeed. But it does go past so fast. So try as much as you can to enjoy each stage. As a parent, I couldn't wait till the next stage happened, until they sat up, till they walked, until they talked. And of course, every stage has its advantages, but enjoy the baby stage as long as you can, the toddler stage. It won't last forever.
Yeah, it is very short, really, isn't it? A couple of years seems like a long time, but actually it
Yes.
goes by like that. So, and how do you balance wanting to help me versus wanting to put in what you've experienced and how you think it should be done versus letting me sort of figure it out by myself? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think every grandparent has to deal with this. I try as much as I can, and don't know how successful I am, not to give my opinion unless it's asked for. Because every parent has to have, every unit is different. They're going to have to make their own rules and work out what family life is like for them. Now, we made mistakes, and of course, we don't want our children to make the same mistakes with their children. But no one's ever going to. There's no absolute right way anyway for anything. There's only a what works for you way in the end, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you try to bite your tongue, do you?
Yes, not always, not always
No,
successfully.
to be fair, I think you do. You do. You don't. I know a lot of people who've got mothers or mothers-in-laws who always want to give their 2 cents. And I think that can lead to a lot of friction, can't it? But
Hmm.
yeah, no, I would say you're very good at not doing that. Um, okay, do you have a special grandma name? I know what it is, obviously. And how
Yeah.
did it come about?
Well, James calls me Mogsy at the moment. And that was because my name's Morag and my great nephew couldn't say Morag, so he used to call me Moggy. And then somehow Moggy changed into Mogsy. So I quite like the name. And James uses that for me now.
He was calling you other mum this morning,
He
and
was.
I came downstairs and he said, "Oh, there's second mum." I'm sure I
He
feel
was.
about
He was.
that.
Yeah. He was calling Mum. I don't know why. And then he also said he had two dads. I
School must
think
be very confused about what's going
yes,
on.
yeah, but I think it underlines the importance of him having people that he knows are really important in his life. You
Yes,
know,
yeah,
it's him saying, "You're part of my family," isn't it?
yeah. And he has, we've tried to explain to him, haven't we, a couple of times that you're my mum,
And he
and he
doesn't
doesn't
really
get that at
understand
all,
that.
does he?
And he sometimes, I think he might call me mum because he hears dad saying, referring to me as mum. So that must be
Yes.
kind of
And I call
confusing.
you mum as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it must be difficult. Plus, also, I guess it probably just means mum or mummy, just it means a sort of
yes,
caregiver
a
of some sort.
caregiver,
Yeah, that's just, yeah. But yeah, you're Mogsy most of the time. What's the secret to being a fun Mogsy?
a fun Moxie. Well, I think to me, and this is the thing that I've learned, it's maybe different about being a grandparent, is getting down on the floor with him and letting him lead the play. So not saying we are going to play this game, but letting him make up the game and the rules. Now, I don't always get the rules, and that can cause, yes, just letting him decide what the game is and going along with him. And he really likes taking the lead. And I think it gives him confidence then.
Just to say that the game this morning was James was leading my mum around by the strings of her hoodie like a horse. So when she says get down on the floor with them, she is speaking literally. And how do you keep relationship close when you live far away? You live 3 hours away.
Well, again, this is a big positive about smartphones because before he could speak to me on the phone, now he can. We can actually have WhatsApp video calls when we'll have a conversation, he and I. That's a recent thing. But you sending me videos of him and photographs of him means that I can keep up to date with what's happening in his life, basically. So I don't have to catch up, if you see what I mean.
So that's one of the great things about
Yeah, that's made a big.
technology now that you
I
can
think that
yeah.
yeah, that's a huge difference. I'm sure people who have grandchildren in Australia, I mean, that must be a huge difference. They can actually talk to their grandchildren
Yeah, and
in a
see them,
different
yeah.
continent.
What do you hope your grandkids will remember about you when they grow up?
I would like to think that they remembered me as fun and someone who was kind and loving. And I hope as they get older, they continue or start to see me as someone that they can tell things that they might not be able to tell anybody else, or that they can talk about things. Someone they can confide in. That's how I would like to be seen in the future when they're old enough to need someone like that.
Yeah, because there's some things you don't want to talk about with your parents.
No.
They may be too close, or you want to complain about your parents too.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, that would be nice. And final question, what does being a grandma or a mogsy mean to you in your own words?
Hmm. Oh, I think it's one of the good things about getting older. Yeah, it's all the joys of children without the worries. No, I still worry about my grandchildren for sure, but it's yes, it's much more fun and easy than being a parent. Being a parent is tough, I think. Being a grandparent isn't at all tough. It's almost 100% delight.
Oh, that's nice. Um, and I'll add in one final question. So, for anyone who's like a new mum or they're sort of starting out having kids, you've been a parent for 35 years. What would be your biggest tip?
Oh, my biggest tip is try not to be perfect. If you can be good enough parent, do the best you can. You won't always get it right. You'll make mistakes. Don't feel guilty. You're always going to feel guilty because there's never enough time for everything. You can just do the best you can, and that's all you can do. It would be great if you don't have extended family. I wish there was a scheme like adopt a granny or adopt a grandfather.
Oh, that's
I
such a good
think
idea.
it would be really good to have somebody that you can pass your child over, just ask for a bit of advice or a bit of reassurance. If you've got that, that's
Mm.
great. If you don't, I think it's extra tough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you need that. You need a village, don't you?
Mm.
All right. Well, that was all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much. This has been really interesting. I hope other people have found it interesting too. Thanks for joining us for this episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to 10,000 Steps with Baby and
Can you leave
check.
a comment?
Oh, yes, leave a comment. Anything you'd like.
I
If
want
you,
to ask.
yeah, if you've got any other questions for my mum, or you are a grandmother yourself or a grandparent and you've got a comment, then that would be really interesting. And oh, and check out our new Instagram page as well. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
And good luck. Bye.